Did the Dodgers do enough at the deadline? That's coming up next on Dodgers Nation Mailbag. What up, Dodgers Nation? D-Mac here. We're here with another episode of Dodgers Nation Mailbag. We answer all your burning Dodgers questions. And if you want to be a part of a future episode, head over to Twitter when we drop that question and reply with your Dodgers questions. We're also going to drop it on YouTube. And if you have a video submission, reply to the thread, or you can DM us at Dodgers Nation. But on today's show, we're talking about the trade deadline. We're talking about the new additions. And was the 2020 World Series real? Does it count? That's coming up. But I got to introduce the show. You know him, Mr. Noah Cameras. Noah's going to be reading me the questions today. Noah, what's the first question you got from me, my man?
Yeah, D-Mac, first of all, thanks for having me here.
It's an honor.
First question here, Adam at AD Holland 14. Do you think Michael Busch ever gets another chance in the bigs this season?
Good question. I mean, you got to free Michael Busch at some point. The Dodgers, they're doing reverse DiCaprio on Michael Busch. He's 25, and instead of letting him go, they're holding on to him. And here's my hot take on Michael Busch. Michael Busch is going to win the Rookie of the Year for the Dodgers when he's 42, okay? This guy is going to be the Rookie of the Year in the year 2040 because they're not going to give him this opportunity that he deserves. And by the way, if you're wondering who is the oldest Rookie of the Year, that goes to Sam Jethro, who won the Rookie of the Year at age 33 for the White Sox in 1950. Now, of course, I'm just kidding, but I think the serious question here is when will he get that opportunity, and will it be this season? Now, what it's going to come down to is, will JD Martinez miss some time? Because we know he's been dealing with a very strange injury where they really can't pinpoint it. You're talking about the back, you're talking about the hamstring. It looks like he's going to be okay. If you look at Michael Busch this season, when he did get his opportunity, he wasn't great. I mean, he was good. He had stretches, and towards the end, he was really starting to figure it out. In 15 games with the Dodgers this year in the show, he hit 200, had a 61 weighted runs created plus, no home runs, but he continues to rake down in AAA. 318 batting average with a 145 weighted runs created plus, 19 home runs. He's hit 12 home runs since June 1st. So point is, he has nothing else to prove. He's close to 30 than he is to 20. At some point, you have to play these guys or trade these guys. Now, you could also see him as a September call-up. And now, what that means is early September, when teams expand to 28 roster spots, you're going to see Michael Busch as a possibility, but also you can see him activate some of these guys off the IL. Remember, this is not back in the day where you had 40 roster spots. Those days are long gone. So definitely it looks bleak right now for Michael Busch this season. We'll see if he gets traded in the offseason, or we'll see if he gets another role next year. But Noah, what else you got for me, my man?
Yeah, first of all, love that reverse DiCaprio thing. That was very funny, D-Mac.
Thanks, man. Play the canned laughter from the TV show.
I was going to.
Okay.
This one is from Neon X at Nicholas Hart. Going into the remainder of the season, I'm pretty confident, but my question is, will the players that we acquired give us the boost we need to take the West this season?
To take the West, I think the answer is yes. To win the World Series, I think the answer is we'll see. It's TBD. I think you look at some of the upgrades they made along the margins, and I think all those guys are going to potentially help this team. Kiké Hernandez, he's already had a positive contribution. He's gone 5 for 17 with 2 doubles. He's better defensively in the outfield. I also think, too, the role he has for this Dodgers team is he's better suited for that role, right? He's not playing the primary shortstop position like he was in Boston. You're also seeing him used as a righty platoon bat against lefties, but the positive sign was that bases clearing double he had against the A's. That was against a righty. So he said the other night, I never really realized that I needed this as bad as I did, and we're going to find out, do the Dodgers need him as bad as they did? Does this Dodger team benefit from a Kiké Hernandez? I think he's going to help. I think the vibes are always there too. He's a great clubhouse factor. And then Ahmed Rosario. So Rosario, he's the one I think offensively can get it done. I think you've seen the flashes early on. He's been one of the best shortstop hitters. He's played second base with the Dodgers, but since June 1st, I mean, the only shortstop that has a better batting average than him is Corey Seager. He's hitting 306 since the beginning of June, a 114 weighted runs created plus. That's 9th. Since joining the Dodgers, he's gone 5 for 13 with a home run and a double, 1121 OPS in 4 games. But the biggest key is, where does he fit in defensively? Does he get an opportunity to play some outfield? Does he play second base? How does that shortstop position look? Because defensively, he graded out as the worst shortstop in baseball. But offensively, I think he's absolutely going to provide some life. Then you got Joe Kelly. We know that he's looked nastier this year than he's ever have. I mean, Joe Kelly has been absolutely on fire this season when it comes to strikeouts. He's striking out a career-high 32.3% of the batters he's faced. That's elite. If you look at his FIP, his expected numbers, they all point to some positive regression to the mean. He also said the other day, too, that you can't overstate what it means to pitch at Dodger Stadium. The increase in adrenaline, I think that's a factor. And I think this bullpen, they desperately needed someone that has some veteran experience that can miss bats and punch guys out in big spots. So I think he's going to be big, too. Lance Lynn, the good, this guy likes to eat innings, okay? The innings that he eats is definitely going to help this team. 126 and 2/3 innings. That's 22nd in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers this year, they're 26th in Major League Baseball in innings pitched at 944 and 2/3 innings on the year. The leader for this team is Clayton Kershaw at 95 and a third. So you look at Lance Lynn, already at 126 and 2/3 innings. He's someone that has thrown over 100 pitches already 13 times this year. So yeah, his numbers haven't been great, but he's also gone deep into games and he's eaten innings. And other thing too, he can miss bats. He's striking out 26.9% of the batters that he's faced. That's the highest in his career. He had 7 punchies in his first start with the Dodgers, had 16 whiffs. So that fastball has the late life, has that elite spin. He challenges hitters in the zone. The curveball's nasty. Look at that chase he got when he struck out Diaz there to start the 5th against the A's. Now the bad is, the number one thing to look for with Lance Lynn is, can he keep the ball in the yard? He has a 2.22 home runs per 9. That's the worst in Major League Baseball. He's served up 31 dingers, struggles with that four-seam command at times, misses in the zone. So hopefully they clean that up like they did with Chris Martin last year and they have some success. But yeah, these guys are all going to help, but it does feel like it was incomplete as far as what they did at the deadline. For me, it almost felt like you're in Tetris, a big Tetris guy, and you need the long piece. They didn't get that long piece, right? They didn't get Max Scherzer or Justin Verlander. They didn't get a Nolan Arenado. They didn't get an Eduardo Rodriguez or a Dylan Cease. They didn't get that long piece. By the way, that piece has a name for my Tetris heads. It's called the hero piece, and they did not get the hero piece that I think they lacked to really put this team over the top. So can they win the West? Yes. Will they win the World Series with this group? There's a lot of ifs. A lot of things have to break right. The potential and the talent is there, but as far as what they did at the deadline, depth of the margins, but knowing that's a superstar you can guarantee is going to really give those results. But Noah, what's my next question?
Yeah, this is a loaded one. Kevin at WhoDatLudat says, did 2020 count?
Did 2020 count? I've talked about that extensively on this show. And if you look up who won the World Series in 2020, does it say the Dodgers? That's my question to you, because it does. There's no asterisk there. The diamonds are real. The trophy is still made of sterling silver. Yes, it takes on that tawny gold look, but it is sterling silver, the World Series trophy, the Commissioner's trophy that Rob Manfred affectionately called the piece of metal. It does still count. Now, I also look at that World Series as a unique World Series. The Dodgers had to do things that other teams didn't have to do in the past. One, you didn't have to play in a bubble. The Dodgers did. They played away from home in front of cardboard cutouts and also a stadium capacity that wasn't close to being full. In a normal year, Dodgers would have home field advantage. They would have been playing in front of 50,000 strong. You had the adrenaline going up. Also, too, they had to win 13 games. You had to win 2 additional games. That Dodgers team, they were dominant. They go 13-5 in the playoffs. They outscored their opponents 101-66. That is dominant. In the regular season, they're on pace to win 116 games. They won 43-17. They outscored their opponents by over 2 runs per game. So the Dodgers were a dominant team, and the number one thing for me when it comes to did that count is, who did they beat? Who is their opposition, right? They played the Brewers, the Padres, the Braves, and the Rays. Those are all teams that, if it was a 162-game season, that you would have been expecting to be in the NLCS, in the World Series. The Rays had the best record in the American League, the second best record overall, so it was legitimate. Now, if they had won the World Series, in the path through the postseason was the Pirates and the Rockies and the Diamondbacks, the Detroit Tigers, I would say, yeah, you could say that that's an illegitimate World Series, but the bottom line is they beat the best competition that was available. Everyone was playing by the same rules. So what I always say is, people only say it doesn't count when your team didn't win. Last time I checked, the Padres fans, they were having a parade in San Diego after winning a wild card series. So that clearly counted to you. But I think the more important, the more appropriate question here is, was it satisfying? Did it count? Yes. Was it satisfying? I think that is the main question, because you didn't get a parade. You didn't see the champagne and the players with the goggles and all the parade and the buses down Figueroa. You didn't have a moment at Dodger Stadium until the following season. So I think from that standpoint, there is an emptiness to it in that it doesn't feel like you got the full, complete experience, but it does count. Now, am I satisfied? No. I think they need to win another World Series. I've always said I feel like this group, with this talent, with the resources they have, I always call them the incomplete elite. They have to win 2 to win 1. But my final response to that is, look at the World Series since 1947. Since 1947, why is that important? That was integration, right? That was Jackie Robinson. Since then, Yankees have won 17 titles. That's more than any team in baseball. But right after that is the Brooklyn/Los Angeles Dodgers, who have won 7. Other than that, you have the Cardinals, the Red Sox, the Giants, the Oakland A's. To me, 2020 counts a lot more than any of those pre-integration titles, and that's not even close. It counts more than that Fugazi title that the Astros won in 2017. So yes, in my opinion, it absolutely counts, but they need to win another title with this group to truly realize the potential and maximize on the resources that they've had. But for my final question, we've got a video question over on YouTube. Noah, what we got for my video question?
Hey, D-Mac, I just woke up, and first thing I always think about is, what exactly are we getting with this Ryan Yarbrough situation? What's his role going to be? D-Mac, you got the answers. Come on, tell us.
Thanks for all those video submissions. And if you guys want to be featured on the show, definitely fire away with those video submissions. You can find us over on Twitter. You can reply with the video, or you can DM it to us as well. So we'll definitely include your videos in a future episode. So Ryan Yarbrough, he was the pivot, right? He was the move that the Dodgers made after Eduardo Rodriguez decided that family was more important than winning, and he decided to invoke his veto power and not get traded to the Dodgers. Now, I'm going to plant my flag right here and say that I think Yarbrough is going to have a better finish to the season than Erod. And why do I say that? Because Yarbrough, he's been fantastic since he returned from the IL. So if you remember earlier on this season, he suffered multiple facial fractures after being struck by a Ryan Noda line drive back on May 7th. And since returning, he has a 2.19 ERA and 24 2/3 innings since being activated off that IL. He's been really good in July. His last 3 starts, he's been extremely solid. Last 38 innings as a starter through 7 games, a 3.08 ERA. So the key for Yarbrough, though, is to start him. So the big pro as a starter, he's been really good, really solid. The con is, as a reliever, he's been bad. As a reliever, in 13 innings as a reliever this season, a 7.62 ERA. So he's been quite an enigma so far this season. But I think the big key for him is putting him with this Dodgers organization. They're going to optimize him. Almost reminds me a little bit of Adam Kolarek as far as someone that is not a high velocity guy, but this is someone that's going to have an expanded role. This is a starter. This is not a reliever, right? And you look at that fastball velocity, 86.8 miles per hour. That's in the 1 percentile. That's in the bottom of the league. His 13.7 strikeout rate is in the 2 percentile. So what you need to know from him is he's not a big high velocity guy, doesn't have a big fastball, he's not a big strikeout guy. His expected numbers are great too. Expected slug, expected batting average, xFIP north of 5. But what he does great, what he does at an elite level, is he limits hard contact. He's in the 93rd percentile in hard hit percentage. He misses barrels. He doesn't allow free passes. His 4.2 walk rate is the 2nd percentile. It's the 2nd lowest in the league. So this is someone who I think is going to help this team. And I also think, too, is a very interesting addition, because there are some starters on this team that you don't like in the postseason as full-blown starting pitchers. Would you trust Tony Gonsolin, who last night, the results will say he had a pretty good start, but he had an xFIP of north of 5. That's against this A's team. I don't trust Tony Gonsolin in the postseason. That postseason ERA is at 9.20. It's been a catastrophe for Tony Spokes. That's not going to fly. And then the big wild card, the biggest X factor for the Dodgers down the stretch, is Walker Bleepin Buehler. Will Walker Buehler return, and in what capacity? Will he be a multi-inning reliever? Also, will he be an opener? Because Dave Roberts has already indicated that that is how they intend to use Yarbrough. as an opener, as a guy they can use in short burst situations. So could you see Yarbrough in a piggyback situation with Buehler or with Gonsolin? I think those are all possibilities, but I think that he's going to help this team. I think that he's going to excel in Dodger blue. I'm going to plant my flag once again. I think he's going to have a better finish to the season than Mr. Eduardo. I don't like to win Rodriguez. I think he's absolutely going to have success in LA. But that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Nation Mailbag. And let us know down below in the comment section, do you think the Dodgers did enough? Do you think they should have done more? Like I said earlier, sometimes those players just are not available. It's not like they didn't try to trade for Erod. Yes, I think they need the long Tetris piece. They didn't get that, but still, they did make some additions. I think this team still is very capable of not only winning this division, but winning the World Series. Lots of things have to break right, but let us know down below. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And of course, if you love the Dodgers and you want to read more about the Dodgers, you want to know a Dodgers expert, I know a guy. His name is Noah Cameras. You can follow him on Twitter at Noah Cameras. Appreciate you reading the questions. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.